Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Parenting for a Peaceful Home. I'm your host, Christina Louise, and today I'm going to introduce you to a really good old friend of mine named Kelly Lash. She is a family and parenting coach, and today we're going to help you let go of the worry and the fear comes up about not being a good enough parent. Welcome, Kelly. Hello again. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Christina?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited to introduce you to these parents because I know you have a lot of valuable tips for them today. And I know that a lot of parents that are watching, I've heard it a lot in our Facebook group and throughout the course of the emails that I receive from participants, that people are just worried that they're not doing a good enough job. They're worried that they're not a good enough parent. And I'm so excited that today we're going to help them feel more confident in their parenting so that they can raise really kids who thrive in the world. And I know you've been doing this for years. I want to tell everybody that Kelly and I, we've known each other for 15 years. We've always had a passion for working with children. And Kelly, you went the more like traditional route. Do you want to share with us like your background and your experience and how you came to be a family and parenting coach?
Sure, yeah. So, since I was a teenager, I've been working with kids. For a long time, I was teaching. I was substitute teaching and a teacher aide for kids with special needs in mostly special ed classrooms. And then I ended up going back to school to become a therapist. And so for the last 5 years since grad school, I've been working as a child and family therapist with kids and families. So I do primarily family therapy with youth, and I also do work with adults, and I am now doing coaching, family coaching, parent coaching, life coaching, and I also specialize in pediatric hypnosis and self-hypnosis for adults. And I also help adults work on their inner child because of my experience with children. So
how does hypnosis help children and parents form better bonds and feel more love and joy in their lives?
Hypnosis is amazing. The way that it works. So one thing that's important to know about hypnosis is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So the idea is you're using the power of your own subconscious mind to heal from within. So I'm not doing anything fancy where I'm hypnotizing you and you're going to lose control and do something you don't want to do. It's all on your own terms, and it's all based on the power of your own mind. And in that way, it's really no different than a deep meditation or yoga or any modality of therapy or coaching that one might receive. And so what I do is I use different scripts, individualized scripts. So if, say, a child or parent comes to me with an issue of the child's having nightmares, for example, the script would be centered around helping that child feel safe and have good dreams. And there would be key words and key phrases, key images in that script that would guide the child in helping them kind of tame those demons and overcome that fear using their subconscious mind. It's very story-like, it's very visual. It's just kind of like reading a story, but even more powerful. And so they're for all different sorts of things. And I individualize it with the parent or the child, and they can take it home and they can use the recordings that we use to really train themselves to do that healing from within. It's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of hypnosis. I was a huge skeptic of it until about a year or two ago. I didn't want anybody messing with my mind, and I was like, I'm really afraid they're gonna know all my secrets or they're gonna input something in there that shouldn't be there. So I was like really weary of it. But the more I actually interviewed somebody last year who's like a master hypnosis. He's known all over the world. And so I hit him with some hard questions, and he was very honest with me, and I could just resonate with like, oh, this might be something I'd like to try. And then coincidentally last year, I attracted somebody into my life, and I've been using hypnosis in my own life for the last year very successfully. So definitely can vouch for the power of hypnosis. I feel like as long as you really resonate with your practitioner, and that goes for really any kind of work that you're going to do, whether it's inner or outer work, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
So you went to school for a really long time. You've done a lot of research. I mean, I watched you through the years just like pound the pavement, you know, with traditional education and then doing your own healing work in your own life. Do you have any idea why there's so many parents walking around worried right now that they're screwing up their kid?
That's a big question. What I see a lot is, so unfortunately we live in a world where we're not educated as children to be loving and to have an emotional awareness, to develop social emotional skills with our family members, with our friends, other classmates at school, with teachers and other adults. And so what I see a lot is children who are a product of that environment. And so, you know, if kids aren't learning those skills at home, and they're not learning those skills at school, where are they supposed to learn those skills? And how can we blame the parents for not knowing those skills either? There's no way that they would know those skills because they did not grow up in a world where they were taught those skills. So I have a lot of compassion for that, and I love working with parents like that because, you know, they're very honest about where they're at, and it's really good to work from a place like that because we don't know what we don't know. And so all we can do is have, you know, forgiveness and compassion for ourselves and where we're at. And all parents want the best for their children. I don't care who you are. We want the best for our children. And so, you know, it's amazing to work with parents and families like that because they're in a space of they're wanting to do their own healing. And a lot of times what I see is the parents are doing this healing way more than the children even are. Like the parents are the ones with the power because they can do all of this healing themselves. And if they're working on this themselves, if they're learning how to be less judgmental with themselves, more forgiving with themselves, more compassionate with themselves, that's just going to magically rub off on their children, their families, their partners, their friends, their community, their colleagues. It's just going to be easier automatically. So it's really about working with the parent where they're at, no matter what that is, with no judgment, and really giving them some tools to do that healing within themselves. And then everything else can just kind of start to fall into place.
Yeah, I find that too. Like, even though I'm not a parent, the more inner work I've done in my own life, the more it rubs off on my parents, my siblings, my partner, my friends, my clients. So there really is, I really believe in, and it's because I've experimented with it and investigated for so many years, that when we change, automatically everybody else either changes with us, or they leave, or they die. Have you found that to be true as well in your work? Is that what you're saying, Kelly?
Yes, absolutely. And it's all about like our change from within and our perception of the world around us. So if we can know how to love ourselves most of the time and forgive ourselves, then that's going to be emanating towards everyone we come in contact with and raising the energy of everyone around us.
Mm-hmm. So let's back up for a moment. I want to just highlight a couple of things that you said so far. So one is the compassion piece, like having compassion for ourselves as parents, no matter where we are right now, and just being honest about that. And then also understanding that as parents, we didn't grow up in a world where we were taught these skills, right? So what are those skills? I mean, you mentioned them, but let's kind of open them up a little bit just so everybody watching has a clearer picture of what they're reaching for. So what are the skills that are missing in the school system, in homes, generally speaking, at this time in history that are needed for?
Yeah, it's Such a great question. It's so interesting because I really didn't start learning these skills until I was in grad school learning to be a therapist. And everyone around me, it was the same situation. So, and that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, what we're talking about here is like, so people throw around the word non-judgment a lot. Like, well, what does that really mean? What does it mean to be judging and not judging? So it's always number one, it's got to start within yourself. So non-judgment, meaning we're not judging ourselves for the mistakes, the errors we make. And so that's what we automatically want to do. We want to judge ourselves. We want to say, oh, I can't believe I did this. I'm so ashamed of this. I feel guilty. I have to say I'm sorry 25 times to this person. I beat myself up over and over for the same things, rehashing the same things over and over. And really, I mean, we have to remember that we're living in the present moment, and the only space we're really living in is the present moment. So there's actually no past and no future. And so how can we have done anything wrong if we're just living in the present moment? So non-judgment in terms of really having compassion and forgiving ourselves for everything we possibly can that comes up that we're upset by. And when we can do that, we can really start feeling really pure, unconditional love for ourselves. And that's important because if we don't feel that for ourselves, how are we supposed to feel that for someone else, for our child? And
so, how can we teach them what we don't know? Right? So we want our kids to be unconditionally loving and nice to themselves and nice to other people. But if we're not doing that for ourselves, and if our relationships with our partners, our friends, the world, our government is full of judgments, right? Then we can't possibly expect our children to reflect anything other than that back to us. Because they really are like little sponges. We hear that a lot, but since you've done the research and you've had the schooling, can you verify that like scientifically, that they really are just little sponges and spitting back out what they're getting from you?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you think about, listeners out there thinking about like words and phrases that your kids have picked up along the course of the day or week, a lot of it is just funny, right? But like, the things that they come up with, they're learning that from the world around them, from TV, from the media, the internet, kids at school, adults on the streets, in some waiting room, you name it, they're going to hear it. So why not model that for them at home from the family and really show that? And Christina, I have to say, you're really good at the self-love. Like, that's really a reflection of who you are. And like, if every parent really like reflect, it's one thing to say you love yourself, but it's another thing to actually show that and demonstrate that with the people around you. And when parents are really able to do that, their child is going to do that too. They're going to learn. Children don't get high self-esteem and self-confidence from the messages they get from other people. They get that from within themselves. And a lot of people think that that's not the case. They think that they get it, if they get good grades or they win the baseball game or whatever it is, but they're getting that from within themselves. And that's the only place that we can feel any of these feelings is from within ourselves. Like, other people don't make us feel good or bad. And that's really, really hard to do. That's hard to recognize. That's hard to live in a space like that. And for children, that's even harder because they're sponges, like you said. They're really, but the beautiful thing about that is because they're sponges, they're able to show compassion. They're able to show empathy and unconditional love and non-judgment in such a pure way. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, I learn more from the kids that I work with than I think they ever do of me, because as adults, we get so screwed up and jaded by the world we live in, and children are not yet affected by that. I mean, they are, but they don't have this whole lifetime of being beaten down to the ground by people, by society, by school, whatever, by poverty, by health. They're not yet. Adults have to unlearn this stuff. The rest of our lives, we spend our lives unlearning this and trying to learn these things that are actually going to allow us to be successful, which is self-love, unconditional love, non-judgment of ourselves and others. And that's really like how we're going to be happy. So, you know, working with parents and kids around that, I think, is extremely important. And if we're not doing that with our kids and our clients, then what are we doing? So
it almost sounds like we're trying to preserve the child's innocence. We're trying to preserve their self-esteem. We're trying to preserve their connection to a higher power, right? That fulfills them and nurtures them, and that they feel loved and supported by. At the same time, as parents and as adults, we're trying to unlearn all the crap, you know, that we got from the world. Is that what you're saying? It sounds like that's what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you're talking about, well, how do we do that? I want to give like a couple examples of this. First of all, okay, let's just do like a quick exercise, because this really gets us in that space. So just close your eyes for a moment. Now I want everyone listening to just close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, tune into your heart, maybe place your hand on your heart, somewhere on your body that feels right, that you can connect with. And I want you to just think of a memory. It might be a childhood memory. Think of a person, an animal, maybe a time in nature. Any memory that you can really pull up in your mind that really demonstrates a feeling of love, a feeling of unconditional love, of non-judgment, a feeling of safety, a feeling of support. Just visualize that for a moment. Where are you? Who are you with? Are you with anyone? What are the sights around you, the smells? What can you touch around you? Just breathe into that memory for a moment. In a moment, I'm going to have you open your eyes, and I want you to just hold on to that feeling that you created. Take another deep breath. When you're ready, open your eyes.
You didn't tell me I was going to need tissue.
Yes. Christina, would you like to share what you were thinking about?
Yeah. At first, I was just kind of like floating around, but you know, the more you just kind of stay present and trust and stay open, the more you kind of find yourself landing somewhere. And so I landed. And if that didn't work for you the first time, just pause, rewind, and go through it again, and you'll get it. You just got to take the pressure off of yourself, and you just kind of got to just listen to the words and put your hand on your heart and close your eyes and just kind of notice and wait. Don't try to make anything happen with processes like these. So I'm pretty good at that. So I was able to get it, and it's okay. It's a practice. It's just a practice. So try it as many times as it takes. That was really good. Okay, so I was in my great grandmother's home growing up. So I remembered the carpet and kind of playing with my toys on the carpet and being held by her, and just it was a very safe place for me growing up. It was the only place for me growing up, honestly.
Yeah. And that's okay, because you had that one place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you also for sharing, like, if you don't think about that, like if something doesn't come to you, give yourself patience with that and just wait for it, because it will come. And we really have to be patient with ourselves. Like, if we've had a lot of trauma and a lot of horrible stuff happen in our lives, like that, it can take some extra work to really get in that space. But once we're in that space, it's so powerful because it's so healing. And, I recently heard this, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but the idea is like, when we're in a space of healing, like when we're in a hypnotic state, when we're in a meditative state, when we're dreaming, all of these really calm, relaxed states that we're in, these purely loving states, that state is so fluid that we're doing like thousands of times more healing in that space than we could ever possibly do in just like a normal moment throughout our day. So just a typical moment, maybe we're driving to work or we're making breakfast or whatever we're doing, we're dealing with our screaming child, like that state that we're in those moments is not a fluid state. And so it's really not a state that's conducive to healing. And so if we can get in this state that we were just in this brief little exercise for even a few minutes a day, there's actually research that shows that if you can get into a kind of state like that for 7 minutes a day, then you can do incredible healing. And it'll set your whole day up for just much more love. You can receive love more, you can give more love, and you can just be more calm and more patient and happy with the people you interact with throughout the day. So, and it's something really easy that we can do as well. Yeah. I want to share something. I'm talking a lot about like this unconditional love and this non-judgment. And so one time someone shared this with me. I think I read it maybe in an article or something in grad school or in my internship. And it was someone talking about like, how do they convey like support for their child? And, I don't think I connected it to the idea of unconditional love at the time, but it really is. And so, for example, say, you see your child's playing in their basketball game after school. And after their basketball game, child runs up to you and you just say, "Wow, Johnny, I really loved watching you play." And what that is, let's break that down really quickly. So in that sentence, "I really loved watching you play, Johnny." What that conveys is that, one, you were in that experience with them. Okay, so there's no, "Oh, you did a great job, you got an A on that test," or "You scored 3 goals in that game." There's no accomplishment. There's no, quote unquote success, how we have learned that to mean. All there is the simplicity of of being in an experience with your child while your child is happy. I mean, really, it's so simple when you think about it. And to be able to convey that to a child is super, super important. I can't tell you how many times I've told that to a parent, like to try to like send that message and change that message in a new way. And it's always like when people hear that, it's always one of those aha moments. Like it seems so simple and obvious, yet we're not really trained to talk like that. We're not trained to just be in the experience and experience that present moment of joy and fun and carefreeness that our children are doing all the time naturally. They just do this. So to really recognize that in your child is very important, and it really conveys a message of unconditional love.
Right. And so I wanna talk about that a little bit, because it's really important. It's making me cry because, first of all, okay, so it is so simple, and it's totally the opposite that we were trained in the world, because usually when you see a parent watching a basketball game watching their kids play sports on TV and movies or in real life, they're cheering when the kid's doing, quote, well, and they're disappointed when the kid's not doing so well, and the conversation in the car ride home is usually about how they could have done better to win the game. And it's this little being that all that child wants is to know that you are watching and that you approve of them and that you love them because they're who they are. And when they don't get that, it is so devastating. And whether these parents, you as a parent watching right now, remember it, this is what happened with you in your childhood. You know, those times you were dancing or singing or bringing something to show and tell, or writing a poem or drawing a picture or playing a game, or just wanting your parents' attention. And instead of receiving that unconditional acceptance and support, your well-meaning authority figures dropped their ball and highlighted what you didn't do right and highlighted what you could have done better, and, you know, even just congratulating you on the play. It's not giving them that inner connection that they are so craving with you.
Yeah.
And if your kid is lashing out, that just means that they're in so much pain and they need your attention and they need your connection, not your punishment, not your condemnation, not your guilt trip, but your connection, just your attention.
Yes.
And it's so simple by changing a couple of words and taking your focus off what went right or what went wrong and just putting it on that little being. It makes such a huge difference. And that's why I'm tearing up, because I do remember not receiving that. And I do remember receiving it sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that the parents that are watching are just having so much grace and compassion for themselves and just absorbing this information and making a new choice.
Yeah.
So, I know that you, Kelly, are here to support these parents who want to feel better and do better and heal. And I know that you have a really cool, special free gift to share. And I'd like to give you an opportunity now to talk to the parents about that gift.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Christina. Yeah. So the free gift is, it's a free half an hour phone consultation with me. So if you're having whatever issue you're having with your child, you don't even have to have a child. If you just want to talk to me about something, schedule and get on the phone with me and we'll talk it through. And, you know, I have to say again, a couple things I want to mention about that too. If you're looking for specialized support with hypnosis, pediatric hypnosis, child hypnosis specifically, or you're looking for support with either raising an LGBTQ child, gay, lesbian, transgender child, someone in your family, you're struggling with that yourself, that's also something I specialize in. So I want to put that out there because those two things are like the two big specialized things that I do. And it can be really challenging to find people who are kind of experts in those areas. So I want to put that out there. It doesn't have to be about either of those two things, but yeah, get on the phone with me. I'd love to connect with you. And yeah, thank you, Christina, for talking about that connection piece again. And I was going to mention, like, if your child is acting out, that's a sign that they need to connect with you. It's almost most always a sign that they're lacking a connection with you. So if you can recognize that in the moment, you've got half the work done for you, because all you need to do is connect. So, and a lot of times this doesn't take words to do this. It takes a smile. It takes, a pat on the back, a hug. It doesn't take a lot. So yeah, give yourselves compassion for that and love. You're doing amazing.
Good deal. So if you want to take advantage of Kelly's free gift, you can click the link in the email or right below this video. Thank you for helping me bring some more stuff out and shedding some tears today, Kelly.
Yeah.
And thank you to all. You're welcome. And thank you to all the parents who are here joining us today, and just for taking a stand for your kid and being willing to look at this information and just take what resonates and leave behind what doesn't. God bless you all. Is there anything else that you want to say before we end, Kelly?
No, I feel honored to be here, Christina. And yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.